Hey there, Heather Hodler. Jeff Cutter welcoming you to yet another Cutter Top 10 NBA video. And today we're going to be looking at the top 10 NBA emotional moments of all time. I had originally thought about doing the Cutter Top 10 NBA deaths of all time, but I didn't really find 10 impactful deaths. So obviously I had to wing it and call it the emotional moments. Of course, as I'm doing the Raptors Chevron jersey of Kyle Lowry. So we have it here. I know I really shouldn't really rank these, but this is kind of one of the biggest moments around. Number 10 is not completely emotional, as in brings tears to your eyes, is emotional of, you know, going on a tangent. And that's Allen Iverson's speech in 2002 called Practice. In 2002, he basically was talked about not giving us all in practice. And then, he wants to talk about the game. We're talking not about the game, not about the game, but practice. Are you kidding me? Practice, not the game, but practice. He would say practice like 18 times and all that. That speech was annoying and all that would define AI's career, basically saying that, you know, we're not talking about the game, we're talking about practice. How practice could change a lot of things and all that. So that's what happened. Number 9 is Drazen Petrovic's death in 1993. Drazen Petrovic came from Croatia, Yugoslavia before it turned into Croatia. But yeah, Petrovic for Croatia. He was a great ball handler for both Portland and New Jersey. He was pretty good, but well, he got to the NBA All-Star game in '93. But then in June, in an accident in Dusseldorf, Germany, he got he got in a crash, and unfortunately, he passed away. And that was just a big blow to the Nets franchise that was trying to get through the door and all that. But Drazen Petrovic looked pretty good and all that. Unfortunately, this wouldn't be the last time we talk about NBA deaths in 1993. In essence, number 8 is the Isaiah Thomas game to honor his sister in 2017. Not the Detroit Isaiah Thomas, that's ISIAH, but the Boston Isaiah Thomas, ISAIAH. Yeah, I talked about him in the draft steals thing, and I said that he was drafted by Boston, though that was wrong. He was drafted by Sacramento, and then he bounced around to the Celtics. But regardless of that, whatever happens, happens. So anyway, so Isaiah was playing in 2017 before the playoffs started against the Chicago Bulls. Isaiah's younger sister China died in a car accident. Well, yeah, the Celtics beat the Bulls, but the day and all that. But yeah, it was just terrible and all that. Before Game One of the Eastern Conference Semis against Washington, he went to his sister's funeral and he played with 123 to 111 and all that. So he knew he had to do everything and all that. But Isaiah basically said he would play everything in honor of her. And that was just amazing and all that. Unfortunately, though, he would have a massive hip injury in the conference finals against Cleveland. But still, that's pretty good to honor your sister like that. And, well, what can you do? You can't really do too much about it. Number 7 is the Len Bias death in 1986. I know you'd be thinking, that's too low. Well, considering he never played in the NBA, I kind of had to give that as a bit of the 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 factors. Like the X factor is that he wasn't alive. He would have been in the NBA. So Len Bias was this great power forward for Maryland. He could go up against MJ and his North Carolina squad with the best of them, and he was ready to be drafted. Number 1 draft pick was Cleveland taking Brad Daugherty, and then the second pick would go to Boston, who managed to finagle their way to the number 2 pick, even though they had the NBA title in their hands. So they took Len Bias, and all was well. They were going to prepare for Larry Bird breaking down, and then the other players like Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish. Unfortunately, though, 48 hours after he was drafted, he would be dead of a cocaine overdose. Such a tragic figure. It ruined the University of Maryland athletics. Lefty Driscoll had to leave. They actually cracked down hard on cocaine in the inner city and basically had a little prejudice against black people. How that, well, we heard that before. But the fact of the matter is that Len Bias could have been big. Boston would have easily had their thing. Well, speaking of Boston, let's just make this number 6, and that's Reggie Lewis's death in 1993. Reggie Lewis was named the captain of the Celtics. He was big, after Larry Bird retired. The guy from Northeastern, who was pretty good, number 35. Unfortunately, though, Reggie would have a couple of injuries, and then he would collapse during the 93 first round against the Charlotte Hornets. Everyone thought that was bad. Of course, he couldn't help the Celtics as they somehow got swept by the Charlotte Hornets in their first playoff appearance ever. But everyone thought that Reggie was going to be fine. He was practicing at Brandeis University. He was doing drills and all that. Unfortunately, though, during a practice thing in July 1993, he would die unexpectedly. It would be one of the worst feelings ever. But they said that he had an enlarged heart. Fortunately for everyone, Reggie Lewis's enlarged heart was not due to drug use, but due to hereditary issues. But yeah, it was huge. Boston would retire as number 35, rightfully so, and things wouldn't look good for Celtics for many years. Number 5 is Kevin Durant's MVP speech 2016. Kevin Durant was the big guy on campus for Oklahoma City. He was doing great for the Thunder before he would title chase with the Warriors, but he was smart and all that. And when he became the MVP, he made the speech in Oklahoma City with his mother in the crowd. He would talk about his mother and how she was she was a single mother raising 2 young boys, and that she would sacrifice herself, like not eating at all so that the boys can eat, and all that. And Kevin basically said to his mom, "You're the real MVP." And that basically made us all want to call our moms and tell them how much we love them and all that stuff. So that was pretty impressive. Number 4 is Kobe Bryant's last game, 2016. So 2016, Kobe knew his body was about to break down, so he said he would retire at the end. And fittingly enough, the Lakers would host the Utah Jazz in the final game of the regular season. The Lakers could not make the playoffs. And one of the weirdest foreshadowing of scheduling things, the worst part about it was the Lakers Utah Jazz match was actually the same night as Golden State trying to win number 73 and win the most regular season games in one season, breaking the 96 Bulls record, which the Warriors did. But unfortunately, that didn't lead to the title. Nevertheless, Kobe turned out the clock. He had number 8 and 24 kind of retired for him, and he wore down the Jazz for 60 points, including many in the fourth quarter in the final few minutes. Mike Tirico was amazed by his performance. But yeah, Kobe did the job. Mambo out. It was just a great legacy. Unfortunately, though, this will not be the last time we talk about Kobe and the emotional moments. Number 3 is Magic Johnson's announcement he had HIV in 1991. Magic Johnson was this great player for the University of Michigan State. 1979, when he won the national title, that game was one of the highest rated college basketball programs of all time. And we're still talking about this like almost 50 years later. But the fact is that, he was big for the Lakers. They needed him. Boston had Bird. Magic went to the Lakers. Simple. Boston and the Lakers were massive rivals in the 50s and 60s. So it worked out. So yeah, Magic was playing great, winning titles in the 80s for the Showtime Lakers. And then unexpectedly, November 7th, 1991, he decided to make a press conference and announce to the world he had HIV. Not the AIDS virus. He was free from that, but he had HIV, which he attributed with loving other women and all that. He made a massive public declaration about this. He said that his wife was clear, she had nothing, and Magic was going to live his life every day like it was his last. So basically, Magic was just full of him, and it was awareness and empathy, and the fact that Magic Johnson had the thing people thought HIV/AIDS was a little bit different, although there was a lot of stigma still going around and all that. I mean, you could have also had HIV from bad blood transfusions, as Golden Girls taught me once. But the fact of the matter is that it was big. It actually helped out. The NBA kind of were pricks about it, saying that, they're glad Magic wasn't on the court because if he was with the HIV thing and blood spoiled, and then, it could infect people. Misinformation, am I right? But what's even more crazy is that Magic, despite not playing in the 91-92 season, actually was elected to be in the All Star game in Orlando for the Western Conference, and he put on a clinic, even outdoing Isaiah Thomas in a one-on-one thing. Magic was named MVP, rightfully so. He had more than 30 points, and then he came back for a year, 95-96, to be with the Lakers. And all that. Unfortunately, that would be the year before Kobe would be a Laker and all that. But yeah, Magic kept going, and he's still going strong. He's an entrepreneur. He's owner of the Dodgers and a few other things. So yeah, good on him. Number 2 is LeBron giving Cleveland the title. So LeBron was annoyed at the next best thing when Cleveland managed to get him number 1 overall in 2003 because he played high school basketball in Ohio, so he knew what he was doing. Unfortunately, though, Cleveland just couldn't do anything right. 2007, they got to the finals but got swept by the Spurs. They kept losing games like Celtics and all that. And then LeBron decided to do a stupid ESPN special, a 1-hour special at that, called The Decision, to take his talents to South Beach, when it could have been 30 minutes and people wouldn't care less. So unfortunately for everyone, LeBron dragged it out. It started the big three, the super team thing with Miami, with D Wade already there and Chris Bosh leaving the Raptors for the Heat. Cleveland would burn their LeBron stuff and get rid of those posters. However, LeBron by 2014 was sick of Miami and decided to switch from Miami to Cleveland, back to Cleveland. So Cleveland brought him back, as the hypocrites they were. But in 2016, Cleveland got to the finals at the expense of the Raptors, but the Raptors just couldn't solve LeBron, even if they had to. So anyway, the Raptors aside, Cleveland would face Golden State for the title. Golden State 73 wins in the NBA season and had to fight off Oklahoma City in a 3-1 comeback for the ages. Slam. Ham slam. So anyway, Cleveland would take on LA in the battle. And all that. Yeah, so Cleveland would take on Golden State. They were down 3-1 to the Warriors, but Draymond Green got himself a 1-game suspension for a flagrant foul and a technical foul that added on to his number. They couldn't win in Golden State. Cleveland won Game 6 on home turf, had to go to Game 7 in Golden State on Sunday night on NBC. There was drama. LeBron, seemingly out of the play, managed to deflect a Andre Iguodala layup attempt, and Kyrie Irving hit a 3-pointer in the final minute to give Cleveland the title. And Cleveland finally got an NBA title. Not just that, they got their first professional sporting title in 52 years. 1964 with the Browns was the last one. Baseball, they still haven't found one since 1948. Basketball, they've only had that one in 2016. Football, well, the Browns just suck. And hockey, well, they don't really do hockey anymore. But number 1 by a long shot, is Kobe Steph in 2020. It would seem like an innocent late January day in 2020, as the basketball world was congratulating LeBron for being the 4th highest point of all time, beating Kobe Bryant's mark. So anyhow, that was just amazing and all that. But the fact of the matter was that, Kobe was a legend and LeBron beat him. And I, of course, was pissed off saying, why the heck would, LeBron beat Kobe? I mean, LeBron's not a legend like Kobe is and all that. So that's just the thing. So anyhow, Kobe was a legend, but, I was fuming. Little did I know that the night after LeBron passed Kobe on the scoring list, that we would lose Kobe Bryant. It seemed like an innocent Sunday, and then for some strange reason, I was looking at Facebook like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then of course something popped up about Kobe's death, and I'm like, Kobe Bryant dead? And then I got through it, and then ABC said something during some college football, some football thing. But yeah, we found out that Kobe had died, and it was like shocking. It kind of ruined the Pro Bowl. It kind of ruined NBA teams because the Raptors and Spurs were actually the first game played after Kobe's death, and it was just shocking. They would take 8 second violations, backward violations, and 24-second violations, and all that. So yeah, to honor Kobe's 8 and 24, teams were just shocked, and how he died was shocking too. Because on a Sunday morning, he was taking his daughter Gianna to a basketball thing alongside a couple of teammates and their parents and all that in a helicopter. But unfortunately, there was massive fog, and the helicopter pilot screwed up, and you can tell what happens next. They crashed near a mountain. Kobe obviously didn't survive, and the NBA were just shook to the core. Even I was shook to the core. But the fact of the matter is that, the NBA went on with many tributes and all that. LA retires 8 and 24, obviously. But yeah, it was just shocking. And of course, that memorial with LeBron doing the stuff, it was just like, you know, how do you figure that out? So, like, it was just unbelievable and all that. But yeah, it was just shocking to see. And, Kobe's death will always be hard because, the guy only retired 4 years prior. So, like, how do you go on with this? Like, the guy should be, like, dying at age 80, not like 40 plus like he was. And of course, this was before COVID ruined everything. But yeah, 2020 would have been known as Kobe's death, but COVID had to steal the thunder. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond at 2.